The movie starts with Hobo, an old homeless man who travels from one city to another by train looking for a decent place to live. After getting off the train, he finds himself in a place called Hopetown, but the sign at the entrance says, "Welcome to Hell," which is definitely not a good sign. Hobo enters the town and grabs a shopping cart to collect the junk he needs. After a bit, he runs into a film director shooting fight scenes that usually happen in the town. The director offers him $10 to take part in the fighting scenes, but of course Hobo just walks away. A moment later he hears someone screaming nearby. When he goes to check, he finds a man named Logan with a sewer lid stuck around his neck, his face covered in blood, and his hands tied. Logan begs people to help him because someone is trying to kill him, but everyone is too scared and keeps their distance. Soon after, a white car approaches. When Logan sees it, he panics and begs Hobo to protect him, but Hobo ignores him. The white car arrives and crashes into Hobo's shopping cart, knocking it over. A man in a white suit, armed and dangerous, steps out. His name is Drake, and right after him his two sons, Slick and Ivan, get out as well. They tell Logan he's a traitor. Here we learn that Logan is Drake's younger brother, and the uncle of these two boys, but the family relationship between them is terrible. The two sons grab Logan and throw him inside the sewer, leaving his body hanging with only his head visible. Drake treats the people in the street like they're his audience, and Logan is some kind of contestant. He tells them to watch what's about to happen. He ties a cable around Logan's neck, attaches the other end to the car, and tells Slick to start the show. Slick hits the gas at full speed, ripping Logan's head off his body. Drake picks up Logan's head and warns everyone that any one of them might be next in his competition. Hobo collects his things and keeps walking. He sees a lawnmower in a shop window and really likes it, but when he notices the price, $50, he gives up on the idea and goes to beg on the street instead. He writes on a piece of cardboard that he needs help to buy a lawnmower. But just his luck, a group of teenagers shows up and starts harassing him. A bit later, Hobo sees Slick getting out of his car and walking into a certain building, so he follows him. Hobo discovers that Drake's gang kidnaps people and tortures them inside that building. He watches Slick torturing a boy named Otis because he borrowed money from him and didn't pay it back. A girl named Abby arrives and begs Slick to stop because the kid is too young. Slick tells her to come with him to another room and he'll pay her well. Hobo watches everything from a distance, unnoticed. He sees Slick and Abby in the room, and they start having a sexual moment. But suddenly a masked man breaks in to kidnap Abby and sell her on the black market. At that moment, Hobo decides to step in and stops the masked man. Slick gets angry at Hobo for interfering and pulls out a knife to threaten him. But Hobo grabs a sock full of coins and beats Slick unconscious. Then he drags Slick to the police station and asks the officers to arrest him. He also asks to speak with the chief, so they put him in an interrogation room. After a while, a high-ranking officer enters the room. Hobo asks him to take serious action against the criminals in the town because things are completely out of control. But the officer tells him that most of the police work with Drake, so no one can stop the gang. At that moment, the officer points his gun at Hobo. Slick walks into the room and beats Hobo brutally, even carving the word "scum" onto his chest. After that, two officers grab Hobo and throw him into a dumpster. At that time, we see Abby negotiating some work out on the street. Hobo spots her and approaches, asking for her help. She feels sorry for him, takes him home, treats his wounds, and even lets him spend the night there. The next day, Hobo goes to meet the director and tells him he agrees to the offer. The conditions are humiliating. Hobo has to let himself be insulted and degraded in exchange for money, like breaking a glass bottle over his own head and then eating the remaining shards. After completing all the director's orders, he takes the money and heads back to the shop to buy the lawnmower. But, unlucky as ever, 3 robbers storm into the store, take a woman and her son Rowan hostage, and threaten the shop owner to hand over all his money or they'll kill the mother and child. When Hobo sees what's happening, he snaps. He decides to act. He notices a shotgun on the shelf, grabs it, and starts shooting the robbers one by one until he kills them all. Hobo realizes this town needs someone to protect it and stand up to the criminals, so he takes the responsibility himself. He buys the shotgun instead of the lawnmower and prepares for the upcoming fight. During this period, Hobo makes it his mission to go after any criminal or thug he comes across on the street. The first person he takes out is the director. After that, he targets drug dealers and child predators. Hobo becomes the protector of the city and its most famous figure, to the point that news channels start talking about him, saying he's the only one who brought justice to a city drowned in corruption and violence. His story spreads everywhere, and the gangs become angry, especially Drake, who gets so furious he shoots his own TV so he doesn't have to hear another word about Hobo. He then yells at his sons because they let Hobo escape. Slick and Ivan feel humiliated. They've never failed a mission before. So they decide to get rid of Hobo once and for all to make their father proud again. The next day, Slick and Ivan kill 14 children coming home from school using a flamethrower, just to provoke Hobo. Then they storm the radio station and kill the host live on air simply because he said something nice about Hobo. They appear on the news and threaten everyone that if they don't kill every homeless person in the city, their children will face the same fate. After that, brutal massacres start happening everywhere against the homeless. Any citizen who sees a homeless person kills them without fear of punishment. Even the police join in the slaughter. One night, we see Abby returning home when 2 police officers appear. One of them tells her to come with them, but she refuses and runs. The officer chases her until he corners her near a dumpster. He tries to assault her, but at that moment, Hobo appears. He pulls his gun and kills the officer. Then he offers to walk Abby home, but they suddenly see a huge crowd approaching. They quickly hide, and Abby comes up with a plan. She puts Hobo inside a shopping cart and covers him with the officer's body so no one sees him. They manage to escape without trouble. Later, they reach Abby's apartment. Hobo gets out of the cart, and they rush inside. Unfortunately, Otis sees them and calls the gang to report everything. Inside, Hobo tells Abby about his dream of starting a lawn mowing business to earn money. He tells her he's decided to leave the city and start his project somewhere safe, away from all the violence and gangs. Abby loves the idea and wishes they could run away together and start a new life. But their plan doesn't work, because Slick and Ivan burst into the apartment. Ivan injures Hobo using a skate blade. Slick storms into Abby's room and tries to kill her, but she grabs a bottle and slices his face. Her reaction enrages Slick, so he picks up a chainsaw to butcher her. Abby fights back with everything she's got, but she ends up getting seriously hurt. At that moment, Hobo manages to electrocute Ivan, who falls to the ground unconscious. Right then, Hobo hears Abby screaming, so he grabs his gun and rushes to save her. He points his weapon at Slick and steps out of the room. Slick tries to beg him not to kill him, but Hobo doesn't care and shoots him in the leg. Ivan wakes up and escapes quickly. Hobo doesn't have time to chase him down and finish him because Abby is bleeding heavily. He picks her up, puts her in a shopping cart, and rushes her to the hospital. Meanwhile, Slick reaches a phone booth to call his father. When his father answers, Slick explains everything that happened and admits they lost. After ending the call, Slick starts seeing strange hallucinations, imagining that Hobo trapped him with a burning axe and left him to die. But the truth is that Slick dies from massive blood loss. We return to the hospital where Hobo threatens the doctors with his gun, forcing them to treat Abby. The doctor quickly moves her to the operating room, terrified of Hobo. Drake is shocked by his son's death and becomes obsessed with revenge. He calls in 2 armored robots named Rip and Grinder and hires them to help him take down Hobo. The next day, Abby wakes up after the surgery and finds Hobo sitting beside her. He hands her a small cup filled with flowers so she'll always remember him. Abby becomes emotionally attached to him and doesn't want him to leave. She tries to convince him that he can't save the whole world with just his shotgun, but Hobo tells her it's all he can do. Then he walks away. Hobo stops by a children's daycare and watches the kids through the glass. He talks to them, saying he's worried about their future in such a cruel city. He also tells them he hopes they grow up to be homeless like him so they can learn to use weapons, but be better than he ever was. Not long after, the armored robots storm into the hospital and slaughter every employee without mercy. Hobo hears the chaos and races back to Abby's room, but before he gets there, the robots capture him. They lock him in a metal box to deliver him to Drake, who plans to execute him in front of the whole city. When Abby finds out her only friend has been captured, she decides to leave the hospital despite her injuries to save him. She heads to a local gun shop and builds a custom weapon by fusing a hatchet with Hobo's shotgun, then converts a lawnmower into a makeshift shield. She steps outside and finds people surrounding her, checking if she's homeless or not. It's clear they're still following Drake's order to kill every homeless person in the city. Abby becomes furious that they follow him blindly, so she confronts them and delivers a bold, motivational speech defending the homeless and urging everyone to think for themselves. We then move to Drake, who stands in the street surrounded by people, preparing to execute Hobo. One of the armored robots places a manhole cover over Hobo's head and lowers him into the sewer to kill him the same way Logan was executed. But before they can finish, Abby arrives and grabs Ivan as a hostage. She demands that Drake free Hobo or she'll kill his son. But Drake, being a ruthless monster, kills his own son on the spot, having already lost hope in him. Grinder captures Abby while Rip prepares to kill her. The crowd watches excitedly as if it's a soccer match. Despite everything, Abby manages to kill Grinder with her new weapon, then cuts the rope around Hobo's neck and saves him just in time. Drake completely loses it and grabs Abby, cutting off her hands using the lawnmower blade. Even with her brutal injuries, she refuses to give up. She stabs Drake using the bones from her severed hand in a savage attack. She rushes to free Hobo, who points his shotgun at Rip to keep him from coming closer. At that moment, Hobo raises his gun toward Drake to end it. The police arrive and order Hobo to surrender. The townspeople realize Abby was right and stand with Hobo, raising their weapons at the police. Hobo decides to bring an end to all this misery, so he blows Drake's head off. The police immediately shoot and kill Hobo for what he did. The townspeople rage over his death and start attacking the police. Abby screams in shock, and the battle ends with most of the city's residents dead. And that brings us to the end of the film. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.